Hey everyone, David here from the Five and Dime, and I'm going to show you today how to upcycle artwork that comes from the thrift store. So this was just a canvas in a frame that I picked up from the local thrift store, and the first thing was to come in with Dixie Belle's White Lightning and give it a good clean. I sprayed on the cloth and not on the canvas, and gave it a clean with a clean cloth with just water on it. The next step is to give it 2 coats of Slick Stick. Give it first coat, let it dry for 2 hours, give it a second coat, let it dry overnight. I'm going to be doing a crackle finish, so I want the black to show through. So I gave it a coat of Caviar by Dixie Belle Paint Company, let it dry and then gave it a second coat, and then proceeded to paint out the whole frame in the Caviar as well. Once my 2 coats of Caviar were completely dry, I came in with Crackle by Dixie Belle Paint Company, and I applied it to the canvas only. So the thicker you put it on, the larger the cracks, and the thinner you put it on, the smaller the cracks. Make sure you let it dry completely to the touch before moving on to the next step. Once my crackle was completely dry, I came in with Fluff by Dixie Belle Paint Company, which is one of their whites, and gave it a coat on the canvas as well. And a big part of this is to make sure you brush in one direction only or you'll fluff up your crackle. Now it's time for the decoupage, and I'm using the Posh Deluxe Infuser as my medium to hold my piece of paper in place, and I'm using the Veiled Lady decoupage paper. And so apply an even coat on the base that you're going to be putting your paper on, then come in and working in sections, start laying it down using a dry brush. Using the dry brush on top of the paper, I'm pushing from the center out to make sure there's no air bubbles. Another great tip is to use saran wrap to smooth out the surface as well. But because this is a rice paper, it actually was really easy to put in place. Once it was down, I gave it a good coat of the Deluxe Infuser on top. Once again, this will seal it in place and give it a beautiful satin shine. Next up was adding my WoodUbend trim. So this paper was just a little bit short on the sides, so I added WoodUbend trim TR710, and I pre-painted it before installing it on the inside of the frame. Come in with the heat gun, heat up your WoodUbend, and then I glued it to the surface using Titebond Quick and Thick, and then did this in all 4 of the sides. I did miter the corners before putting it on place. Next up, using the WUB TR124, and this is another one of the trims. This one is a bit thicker. This one was a bit tricky because I had to work with a curve as well. So you'll see here I'm going and heating it up, adding my glue, and then I'm actually using some clamps to hold it in place. And this just helped me along so that it was like an extra set of hands. Worked beautifully. Once that was all done, I came back in and I filled in some little gaps that I had there, and I actually just used the Titebond and it worked beautifully. Painted out the whole frame with Caviar again to make sure it was all done, and then a clear coat in satin. Once the clear coat is completely dry, I'll be able to come in and do some embellishing. And the clear coat helps to protect the finish, so in the event that I mess up with the embellishment, I can just wipe it off much easier. So I used the Posh Chalk Aqua Patinas in copper, blue phthalo, and blue Prussian to highlight all the raised edges. The Aqua Patinas are like a wax, so you can actually come in and use your fingers to apply it where you want to put it. Using your finger helps you to hit just all the high points to really give that detail a pop. Take a look at this and see how the crackle has really made the decoupage paper look really aged. And I love how the patinas really make the frame details pop out. And here's the before. So get out there, find some thrift store art, and create your own. Ciao for now.